All right, so there's just a few little things that I want to go over. Hold on, I'm writing something down before I lose my mind. Okay. So first things first, whether you're thinking about getting a dog or you already have a dog, it's not too late to do this. No matter your dog's age or breed or anything like that, this is like the first thing that you need to do. If you didn't do this in the first place, you need to go back and like start from the beginning. So the goal is to train the owners before you can ever train the dogs. And training people how to be with their dogs, the dogs just kind of like follow in place, and it's really simple. So unless you have like major problems with your dogs. So let's say you're gonna go get a puppy, right? Okay, well, there's a lot to do. If it's your first puppy, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to learn about. There's a lot to, you know, what kind of food you're gonna feed it, what kind of bed you want it to have, blah, 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 whatever. You know, that's all fine and dandy. The most important thing you need to do though is you need to make a list of rules that you want to enforce with your dog. Okay, so like if you just kind of go in blind and get a dog and you bring it home and you love it and spoil it and you don't really have any rules that you want to follow, like especially if you have kids, you need to let the kids know the rules. And it's just, you know, if you don't really have a set like list of rules, you're not gonna, like, you have to hold yourself accountable to hold the dog accountable to follow those rules, right? I hope this makes sense. It's hard for me to take it back down to like someone who's like getting a dog for the first time. It's really hard for me to get in that state of mind because I've always had dogs, right? So I don't really know what goes through someone's head when they're fixing to get a dog. What is going on with my hair? So here's some examples for the rules, okay? This is what I expect of my dogs. Every single one of my dogs. It doesn't matter. If they're big, small, old, young, this is what I expect of every single dog I've ever had in my house, right? Okay. There is no getting on, first of all, like this is absolute, like I didn't even realize people's dogs do this because I was just, holy moly. And I saw a dog do it the other day and I was like, and the owners didn't even say anything to it, like it's totally fine. And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay. The dog put its feet up on the kitchen table where people were eating, okay? Put its paws up here. It's a little dog. It put its paws up here and started licking off the table. What? Dude, I wish my dog could talk so I could ask him what would happen if he did that, okay? Man, oh man, oh man. He would never in his wildest dreams think about doing that, okay? Not even when he was a puppy. Like, with my animals, they mess up like that one time, all right? One time is all it takes. Every dog is gonna mess up. It's gonna make a mistake. It's gonna do something you don't want it to do. That's how they learn. You have to allow the mistake to happen in order to correct the behavior and teach them the right behavior, okay? So, seriously, and dogs learn very quickly. If they get a negative reaction to something they're doing, like jumping up on the counter or licking off the table, they get a negative reaction to that kind of behavior, guarantee you they ain't never gonna do it again. Now, if it's an older dog that's been used to doing it their whole life, it's gonna take a couple times to break them from it. But if it's a pup, one and done. It won't ever do it again, I promise you, if you react the correct way. So when you have a puppy, okay, my dog does not get on the furniture. Okay, if he goes in the house, he lays in the floor. Now, he will get on the furniture if I tell him to. Okay, it has to be on your terms because you are the owner, you are the alpha dog, you are the leader, you're in charge. Your dog is not in charge. If you don't want your dog on the couch, your dog should know not to get on the couch. That is your couch. That is your territory. I sound so stupid, but it's true, okay? That is your territory, and that dog is not allowed on that couch unless you invite them onto the couch, right? Or invite them onto the bed. That's your bed. That is not that dog's bed. That is your bed, okay? The only time that, like, my dog has ever, like, not jumped up in the bed with me, but, like, put his head on the side of the bed and, like, not leave me alone is either when he needs to go potty or, like, something's wrong, you know? And listen to your animals. Like, your animals are very smart, and when something's wrong, like, my dog will tell me. If there's something outside, he will tell me. You just have to be familiar with your pet's behavior. And, you know, one night he was like really sick to his stomach and I didn't know. But he just kept on bugging me, and it was like midnight and he kept bugging me, and he kept like putting his paws up on the side of the bed, and I was getting mad at him, and he just would not, and he was panting, and I was like, okay, something's up. So I went and let him outside, and sure enough, he had like screen door poops, you know what I'm saying? So just always listen to your dog, because if I would have ignored that and continued to just let him, you know, that's probably something he couldn't have controlled, and it would have happened in the house. And a lot of people I know would have gotten mad at the dog, even though it's their fault, because they didn't listen to the dog, and they didn't let the dog out in time. So it's just situations like that where you need to know and listen to your dog's needs, and have a connection and a relationship with your dog to where you can almost like speak to each other, like telepathy. Okay, so if you have a puppy, and it's so hard to explain this, and like there's not a one case situation and like a scenario that everything's gonna be the same. Okay, when you have a puppy, you just teach them like, yeah, sure, if you want to take a nap on the couch, you get that dog on the couch, right? You pick up the dog on the couch on your terms. If the puppy gets on the couch and you didn't tell it to, or you don't want it to, no, that's not okay. Take it down, say off, you know, whatever that'll be in a minute, your command list. And just, you have to be consistent, okay? If you do it once and then the next time you're like, you let it slide, and then the next time you're strict about it, and then the next time you let it slide, that's not good for the dog, and the dog's not gonna learn as quickly like that. And it's not fair to the dog because it's confusing, okay? And then the dog's gonna test your limits more because it's like, well, she let me do it last time, so I'm just gonna like be more pushy and then I'll get my way. No, you need to be consistent, especially when they're a puppy. You have to be 100% strict at first. And then once they know and learn and know the commands and know like their place in your pack, then you can be a little more lenient. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no getting on the furniture, no, definitely no freaking anywhere near the table or putting their mouth or nose or anything around the counters. Like, no, heck no. Do not let your dogs do that. That's crazy. Sorry if you let your dogs do that, but like next time you see your dog do that, beat them with the newspaper. I'm not even kidding. Like, that is a huge no-no. And that creates so many issues and habits and just too many temptations. So you might as well just teach your dog from the get-go. Like, don't even, no. The counters, the tables, totally off limits. Definitely for your nose and definitely for your feet. Another one, so it's a dog's natural instinct to bark, right? I do not teach my dogs to bark. I can tell my dog to speak. He has no idea what that means. Okay, I never teach my dogs to speak. Some people do, that's cool, whatever. I just don't, because it creates excessive barking. A dog's gonna bark when it needs to bark, okay? That's instinct in the dog, okay? Especially little dogs. Do not train a little dog to bark. Okay, it's hard enough to train them not to bark, right? I have a little weenie nippy dog in there. She don't bark unless someone's here. She don't bark. Okay, I've seen so many weenie dogs that just bark uncontrollably and bark and bark and bark and bark, and I'm like, shut up. My weenie dog, she don't bark unless there is like someone knocking on the door or someone coming down the driveway. You know, she barks when she's supposed to bark, and if I tell her to shut up, by gosh, you better believe she shuts up. You need to be like, if the dog sees something and it has a legit reason to bark, I understand that. But when you tell the dog to stop barking, you know, like, it's okay, the dog needs to be like, okay, all right, it's fine. Like, the alpha dog's got it, which is you. And they need to chill out and they need to quit barking, okay? Now, if I tell my dog to like skit him, you know, like skit whoever it is or get him, whatever, he's looking around at what I'm talking about, what he needs to be like alert towards. And if it's something he needs to bark at, he will. And if it's not, he won't. Another one, this hasn't really ever been an issue with me because my dog doesn't beg. But a good rule of thumb just to practice from the beginning is no dogs in the kitchen when you're cooking or eating. And that's really easy to teach them. You just don't give them table scraps, okay? That's a bad habit to start. But if you're eating, make them go to another room. Okay, there's definitely ways that you can like teach them to do it. My dogs just know my commands, and if I say out, he knows. It doesn't matter where we are. Out means get away from the room that I'm in, okay? And he just knows that. We'll get more in depth into how to teach a dog that. Crate training, that's a whole nother thing. If your puppy is going to whine, it's going to drive you nuts. There's a puppy I had one time. It was the hardest dog I've ever had to crate train. It took me 4 months to get that thing crate trained. Like, I almost gave up on myself because I was like, wow, I obviously don't know what I'm doing. But it was a stubborn dog. Every time I left her in the crate, she would poop it full. No matter if it was 5 minutes or 2 hours, she would poop like diarrhea, projectile all over. I don't even know how it was possible. She'd pee, mess, just everything in the crate. She would chew on it. It was like she had the worst anxiety ever. And I had her from a pup, but finally one day she figured it out. It clicked and she quit all that. But yeah, so that is another thing. It's a whole nother thing. It's like, but the dog's gonna whine, okay? Like, letting them cry it out is a thing, and you need to. Do not get that dog out of the crate unless it's quiet. Do not ever, ever take a dog out of the crate when it's whining. That's the worst thing you can do. That's teaching it to whine to get out of the crate. What you want to teach it is to shut the heck up and lay there if it wants to get out of the crate. You know what I'm saying? This sounds really like savage, but you know, I'm a cold stone killer when it comes to dogs. I'm just kidding. All right, you want to also, with the crate training, you also have to properly exercise your dog, right? And that's going to give you successful crate training. If you leave your dog in a crate all the time and expect them not to be hyper or whiny or whatever, like, you have to set your dog up for success. So exercise your dog properly, like take it out properly and everything, and crate training will follow in suit. Number 2, what you need to do, you need to make a command list. Okay, mine's going to be different than yours. Yours is going to be different than the next person. The commands that I use for my dogs, it's universal. I should write them all down. Probably 10 commands that I give my dog on a daily basis that he knows. He knows. I've used them since he was a puppy. When he didn't even know what they meant, I was saying them to him. And when they do, okay, so for instance, like I taught my dog in German, right? Some words are English, most of them are German. Like, okay, sit, seats. I tell him to sit. He sits, okay? When you're teaching them, when they do the behavior that you want them to do, you say good seats or good sit. So they know what they're doing. Good. They know that's good. And you need to also have a sound or a tss or something that is like oh heck no, I better stop what I'm doing immediately. My sound is eh. Okay. If I do that, my dogs will stop in their tracks with whatever they're doing. Okay. They know that after that sound, if they continue to do what they're doing, I'm coming and whooping their butts. And I mean, I whoop my dogs, all right? I mean, that might not be appealing to some of you guys, but look up what dogs do to other dogs in the wild, right? Look what mother dogs do to their pups. They discipline them, okay? I'm not a dog. I can't get down and fight with the dog, so I whip my dog. Same difference, same way of establishing dominance, okay? Of course, I don't beat the crap out of my dogs. I have before, I'm not gonna lie, but they deserved it. But the perfect thing to do, right here, okay, this is a newspaper. You roll up a newspaper. This is great for puppy training, great for potty training, okay? This is, I can hit myself with this a million times. It doesn't hurt, okay? But the sound and the noise is going to, mess up a puppy. It's gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, oh, please don't ever do that to me again, okay, right? Dogs are very sensitive. So sometimes it does not take much. So roll up a newspaper, paper towel thing. When you're done with paper towel, get one of those. This works perfect. Something noisy, and seriously, it will change your life. So one more thing is just have a command list. So I'll list mine. I'll post mine later because I can't think of all of them right now. But I have a command for sit, lay down, stay, wait, leave it. Hello. What's some more vigorous commands? Out, which means get out, off. A lot of people use down, but I use off. That means off the couch, off of me, off of the person, off of the bed, off of whatever you're on. Get off. That's what that one means. What's another one? It's hard to think of them off the top of my head. I'm going to go through what commands I use. I'm going to do a whole nother thing on that because that's a whole nother thing in itself. On what commands I use and the importance of what they each mean to your dog. And like I had my dog flying on an airplane by the time he was 11 months old, like a champ. Like he had done it his whole entire life, you know. Made it through the airport, made it through security, made it through the whole thing like a freaking pro. And another thing that you need to do with your pup after they're vaccinated, don't take your dog out if it's not vaccinated, okay? This is after they have all their vaccines and it's safe for them to go out. You do not want your puppy getting parvo. That is seriously the worst thing ever. Luckily, knock on wood, I've never had a dog with parvo, but I have worked in a lot of vets' offices and I've seen puppies with parvo, and it's heartbreaking. And normally, like, they don't make it. Some do, some don't, but it is very heartbreaking. So don't take your puppy out before it is old enough and vaccinated and able to go out and not catch, diseases. But once your puppy is vaccinated, start taking your puppy everywhere. Like, I'm fortunate enough to take my dogs and get them very, very exposed. If you can't do that, there's a ton of places, Lowe's, Tractor Supply, Home Depot, dog parks. Take your dog anywhere you can. At least make it a point twice a week to take your dog out somewhere in public, around people. You need to get your dog good and exposed, okay? That's another very important thing. By the time Ruger was 6 months old, he had been everywhere and done everything, okay? And so, like, nothing phases him. And that's very important to get your dog acclimated to all kinds of environments. Acclimated. What? I don't even know what I'm talking about. Y'all are going to get a kick out of this because, my brain is just like, sometimes it's over here and sometimes it's over there and sometimes it's like just blank. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to do my command list. Let me write this down while I'm thinking about it. Two number one things you need to do. Make a rule list, make a command list, okay? See you guys later.